Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Saeli. I'm pedagogical committee of Medinea On Air, Academy of Music, University of Ljubljana. So this webinar is part of the third session of Medinea On Air, an online and free program of exchange of knowledge, co-founded by Erasmus Plus and 6 Medinea member institutions from France, Italy, Malta, Portugal, Slovenia, and Turkey. So I'm glad to welcome our wonderful speakers who are going to share the opinion and thought today. So the first, Petra Kovačič, first violin in the Wiener Philharmoniker Orchestra.
Hi.
Hello. And then Matic Kuder, E-flat clarinetist in the Berliner Philharmoniker Orchestra. Hi. And then Andrej Žust, hornist in the Berliner Philharmoniker Orchestra. So this webinar is going to be around 40 minutes. And please feel free to interact by pressing the raise your hand button and waiting to be given a floor, or write in chat your question just anytime during the webinar. So now we are going to start with the conversations. So could you please tell us how long you have been playing in the orchestra? So maybe we can start with the lady, Petra.
Hi, yeah, I've been appointed to the first violin in February 2016.
I see. And how about you, Matic?
So I'm in Berlin now since December last year, or like a bit more than 1 year. And before I was 5 years in the Nuremberg Symphony Orchestra.
I see. And how about you, Andrej?
Switch it on. Good.
Yeah.
I'm part of Berlin Philharmonic since 2011. But before that, I was playing in a Slovenian Philharmonic Orchestra from 2004 until 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, thank you. So, have you attended several orchestra auditions before you won your position? Maybe Matic, you can start with it.
Yeah, sure. So I started, like really in the study, I started with like youth orchestras. Maybe that's kind of the easiest way, because mostly like there are some auditions also in Ljubljana and so on. They are quite near. And then after I won the audition in Nuremberg, that was one of my first auditions. And then I did auditions again after the trial. I started doing auditions again, and then there were more of them. So until I got the position in Berlin.
I see, yeah. And how about you, Petra?
So actually, I won my first and only audition.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I was once in Gustav Mahler Jugendorchester, but I wouldn't necessarily say that was an audition, because you knew what you're going to play and there was no one in the hall apart from the camera. So maybe that was not from the program and the preparation, it was an audition, but the feeling was not like it was an audition. So maybe that's a little bit different. But yeah, I was a lucky one.
Nice. How about you, Andrej?
Yeah, as I said, I did one audition in Slovenia. That was for Slovenian Philharmonic Orchestra in 2004. Then I did audition for the Karen Academy, which was I think in 2009. And after Karen Academy, there was an open space for also open position for horn member of the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra. So I attended that audition, and somehow I got lucky to get in.
Nice, thank you. So usually there are 3 rounds in an audition. Did you have any specifics that you're attentive on each round when you're doing the audition? So maybe Andrej, you can start with it.
I mean, for horn auditions, it's quite clear. First round is always Mozart concerto, either third one or fourth. Then comes second round is usually either Strauss concerto or like Concertitude by Neuling. And then third round is usually then a couple of orchestra excerpts. Yeah, so it's more or less always the same.
And you have some really, through the preparation, did you have any specific things that you're aiming on, you know, like for the preparation each round differently, or you actually prepared everything like very accurate through the first to the third round?
Well, when I was preparing, you know, I was just trying to be, let's say, precise to the rhythm and intonation and these kind of things when I was practicing these things, especially with the orchestra excerpts. I mean, in concerto and both concertos, you can show your musicality and so on. But then in the last round, you can the only thing you can show really that you have rhythm, that you have a intonation, and that you know what you're playing, what parts of the orchestra, what kind of part of the orchestra is in your part, and so on. So that's quite important to show.
So it's very important to know what role you have it in this orchestra excerpts.
Yes.
Watching the music, I mean the whole picture.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Petra?
Yeah, with the violins, it's not always that clear what we are going to play. But usually it's also like Mozart, the first round and a couple of excerpts maybe. And then the second round is normally the romantic concerto, or we actually have piece by your own choosing. And again, a couple of excerpts. And in the last round, it normally, I mean, last round, that's also not clear. There could be 3 or 4 stages. It's nothing is set in stone. The third round is normally Brahms concerto second movement, because that's our obligatory piece. And again, excerpts. And potentially if there's a fourth round, we have kind of a waltz, which you get to play with the colleagues from the orchestra without the rehearsal. You have to lead the voice, but that for a tutti position that doesn't happen very often, that normally the concert masters have to play that more often. It has already happened that they wanted to start with a romantic concerto in the first round. And we kind of have, I think, 17 or 18 excerpts. But the ones that are always on the program are Wiener Blut, Don Giovanni, the Champagne aria. What's the other one? So there are 3. There was a very long time, the first tutti position. It was a long time ago, the last audition. So like there are 3 or 4 excerpts that are always, and then we vary with the rest of them.
I see. Yeah. And Matic, how was it?
So when I was like for the principal clarinet auditions, I think that's mostly clear. I think it's also like Mozart concerto. Then second round is Weber concerto, and then excerpts. Sometimes they change it also, like to switch like the second, so that the second round is there are some excerpts and maybe then after Weber concerto. But it's quite clear. For example, in Berlin now, because I played so for E flat position, so it means you have the second instrument also. So they did like first round was Mozart and then one excerpt of E flat clarinet. So you played already in the first round both instruments, and also that you can show that you can also change like from one to another, like without really having time for it, like then in the orchestra. And for my audition, there was just 2 rounds. So then the second round was E flat or clarinet concerto, of Molter. and there were some orchestra excerpts also for E flat. So that was particularly in Berlin, and yeah. But like in Germany, it's kind of Mozart, Weber, and excerpts, and of course then it varies, of course, a bit from the orchestra to the orchestra.
I see. And you get quite a long list of orchestra excerpts probably to prepare it. But did you play all of them at the audition, or just the jury picked up the certain?
Yeah, it depends. There are orchestras, they like to give really a lot of excerpts, and there are some they just go for like not too many, but so that you can show everything. I think in Berlin was maybe the second one, so it's, of course, it was like 10 or 15 excerpts, and at the end they choose. So in the first round there was one, it was I think Sacre, and then in the second round I think were 4 or 5 more, but like really different. So yeah, there were some slow ones or some loud and so on, so that you can, but it wasn't really everything. It doesn't happen so that you had to play everything, because it would take also too much time
for committee of audition. Yeah,
but you have to prepare all of them. I think that's also kind of the catch. So they give you a bit more program and you have to prepare, and then you see if you get lucky or not with the...
I see. How was it when, Petra, you did the audition? You also, they picked the parts for you, or?
So yeah, they picked parts, because we have, like I said, we have 17 or 18. And at the end, I think I played 5 or 6. So what I forgot is a slow movement of something. Either it's a Traviata, the beginning of the 3rd act, I think, or the slow part from Siegfried. So I think I played the classical symphony in the first round from Prokofiev, and then second round there was Siegfried and Champagner aria and Wiener Blut, and then in the last round I played Brahms 4 Scherzo, and I think there was something more, but I don't know. Yeah, it's like Matic said, it's never meant, almost never meant to play everything. We just had recently a cello tutti position opened, and it took, I think, 6 or 7 hours for the whole audition to be over, because they let them play everything. They were pushing the rounds, because the 3 girls, I think, were so close together that basically the points and the places were changing every round, and they were really not sure what to do. So after the 5th round, I think they decided to call it, and they appointed someone.
I see. So it also depends on the situation, how it goes.
That's a really rare situation. Normally through 3 rounds,
I see,
the points go into one direction, and then the differences begin to grow. So
I see. Yeah. How was it, Andrej, when you did the audition?
There we go. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I had this first and second round concertos, and then for the last round there was a huge list. I think I had like 26 or something excerpts, so of course I had to prepare all of them. But then they picked I think 5 of them, so only 5, but really different areas. So a little bit from Strauss, a little bit from what was that, a bit of Haydn, Beethoven, and that was it.
I see. Yeah.
So it was really short last round. Each of us played maybe like 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, so it also depends on probably jury how much
usually
to listen.
It's more or less the same excerpts. You probably already know what is going to come, but you never know. Sometimes they surprise you.
I see. So you should be ready for everything.
You have to be ready with all the parts, and then
So how did you prepare orchestra excerpts when you were preparing for it? I mean, okay, you have the list and you prepare it for the audition, but you are already doing it through your study years to prepare this kind of orchestra excerpts, or when you are studying?
Yeah, of course. When you study at university, you have to do all these excerpts. We have this golden book where you have all the possible excerpts, and usually prepare them with your professor. In my case, but I prepared it with my now colleagues. At that time, they were like my tutors, or how to call them. But I think it's important that you also listen to the recordings, just to see what kind of a part you have there. Is it really a solo? Is it just like accompaniment or like this? So that you know exactly how to play it. And then, of course, you just have to practice it until it's you're ready, 110% ready. Because the audition, you have to be like, you have to achieve kind of 100%. Of course, it's not possible, but you have to be towards like 100% at the audition. You get nervous, of course, audition. So it's good that you're really well prepared for these kind of things.
I see. How was it, Matic? How did you prepare yourself with this orchestra excerpts?
Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, it's kind of a process from the study already. That's why also I meant before, like the youth orchestra. It's also maybe not the really audition situation like the Petra said, but I think it's kind of just to start preparing and maybe just to get feeling to play orchestra excerpts in the situation, because mostly it works out the second or the third time, but on the audition you have to get it on the first. And I think that's the kind of goal to achieve. And yeah, so I don't know, I was just starting with youth orchestras, maybe academy. So I was just starting doing the auditions. You always get a bit different program, so you get kind of to learn the excerpts. You repeat them, or maybe you leave them for a few months because you don't need them at the moment. So I think that comes, and maybe just in the situation before the audition, it's like Andrej said, you have to try to prepare and get the feeling to get it on the point. So because you are there in front of the whole orchestra, you get stressed, so you have to be really sure at home. So that
I see. How was it with Petra? So how was your preparation process?
It was, I think I would say it was quite long, because it was my first audition and I didn't dare to dream even to win it, but I was substituting in the orchestra before, and my only wish was to go there and do my best, and maybe not play really bad, because then it would be kind of, I don't know, I would feel like I let them down somehow, and that was my biggest fear. But apart from it, I was studying the orchestra excerpts already a year before, and then I let them sit, because there was a kind of time also in Vienna when a lot of open positions were coming up for the first violin, and a concertmaster who basically brought me into the orchestra, he said it would be good if I would go to one previous one, which was a year and a half before that. And he gave me the score in September, and the audition was in the middle of October. And then I saw the score and I was like, no, this is not going to go well, because it's a lot of work, and it's, I don't know, it's some excerpts take, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds to play, but it could be months of work, because it's not all just in fingers. Because it's a really mean job to do, to play a part who you're meant to play with 15 others for a tutti player, to play it alone. And you just have to allow to give yourself time for the things to maybe to sit also on the physical level, but then also to work on mentally, to know which part of the excerpt you have to think about before you begin, so you catch the right tempo, not to begin too slow or begin too fast, and then also think about what's the character of the piece, or what sound do I need to produce? Am I allowed to do the slurs? Is it what's going on with the vibrato? Am I supposed to play a wider one or a shorter one? So it kind of takes time. So I studied these excerpts, I would say, for maybe 2 or 3 months with a colleague who was teaching at the university at that time. And then I left them for half a year, I think, and I picked them up again maybe 2 months before the audition. But then it was, I remember I had a schedule, and because I'm a small mathematician in my head, and I have to have everything in the timetables, and it has to be Ordnung und Disziplin. And I had a system. I would play 3 excerpts or 4 excerpts every day, and I took for each one of them 30 minutes, I think, and then I would switch the excerpts, but not every day. I would switch one by one. So I would play 4, and then the next day I would play 3 the same and 1 new, and then the system went on for the whole month. So that, I don't know, for me it was good, because I don't know why. And then the last week before the audition, I think it was like an accident, but it was good for me, because the psychology of the last week before the audition is also very important, not to fall into this kind of, oh yeah, I have to. And I just had some problem. My cat was very sick and he was in the hospital. So in the last week I was mostly worried when he's going to get better and when I'm going to visit him. So I wasn't really concerned about the audition. So that probably saved me. So this is kind of like maybe a bit of a healthier distraction would be better. But it's, yeah, eating good, sleeping good, not drinking too much, not partying. Okay, I see some people have other experience, but that worked for me. That worked for me.
Nice. I mean, not nice for the cat, but I mean, it's very interesting to hear this, your preparation.
Oh, he's perfect now. He's still alive.
Ah, cool. So I would ask also Andrej and Matic, how did you deal with the mental preparation for the audition? So maybe Andrej, you could start with it.
Yeah, like couple of weeks before the audition, I would do like I think it's called mock audition. So I would just put myself into audition mode. I would go into the room. I would probably warm up, and then I would play concerto, both concertos, like tuck tuck, and then also all the excerpts. Whatever happened. If I played everything wrong, I just had to continue, you know, so that I got this feeling. Okay, this is how it is to play once through, you know. Usually when you practice, even if you make a small mistake, you can just go back and start again or practice a little bit. But I think this is really important, that once a day you go through, and whatever happens, happens. So this gave me like a kind of a autopilot system, you know. When you get really nervous, you start to see everything black, but autopilot takes over somehow, and you still are able to perform all these things. So you're really so well prepared, you know. So this was my tactic. So I really, also when I prepare like a concerto with the orchestra or something like that, like 2 weeks before that, I would start like to play once a day, once through, whatever happens, you know. No corrections or stuff, you know. You play it one through, and then you start to remember what you did wrong, and then you do corrections and so on. So this was my tactic.
I see. And how about you, Matic?
Yeah, kind of similar. I think it's really important to have plan. Like, I think for me it was really helpful. Like Petra said, I also did like a plan with kind of time slots, because it's important if you have a lot of excerpts that you don't forget some of them, or you don't practice them not so much as some others, and to get in panic at the end. So you get always kind of you know where you are and how much time you need for some excerpts to come through. And yeah, then I also played like for some colleagues. I think that's also a really good exercise, just to play through, to simulate the audition. And I also recorded myself a lot of times, just like maybe with the iPhone, or it has to be like really professional, but just to get a feeling to play through and to listen to yourself, because this is also really important. Of course, listening to the others, they have also opinions. It's also helpful, but sometimes it helps the most if you listen to yourself. So just to have a feeling how you play and then how it sounds there. It's sometimes also like with the tempos, and so you are maybe sometimes surprised, oh, I'm playing too fast or too slow, but I didn't have a feeling. So I think that's kind of from the preparation and then from psychological, I think, yeah, you should kind of stay calm in the situation, or maybe not to force yourself. For me, example, I was playing for the same audition, so for the same positions 3 times. So it was like the first time it was okay, it was cancelled, no one got it. Second time it went a bit more, so it was already, maybe it was really good. So you get kind of this imagination, oh, maybe it could happen. But that can be also dangerous in the preparation if you get too excited about it, and then, ooh. So just try to kind of be concentrated on the playing, and not, I would say, not to the success at the end. That's also maybe on the day of the audition. It's like first round, okay, you are going on. So it's like now it starts also the expectation. It starts to grow maybe with each round, and that's also like difficult, or maybe that's the kind of a challenge to stay calm and to be concentrated maybe just on the performing and not to winning the audition, because it's not up to you at the end. If you win, the orchestra has to decide, and on the other side you don't have anything to lose. So that's maybe that was kind of my psychological way, or how to say.
I see. Yeah. Just because Andrej has to go at 3:30. So if you have any question to Andrej, just write it on chat. There is one question actually already. So it's not about the probably orchestra audition, but FA is asking, what are you doing before the orchestra concert while warming up? And what do you recommend? So maybe Andrej could just give us.
It depends. I mean, for brass players, if you know that you have to play a long symphony like a Mahler symphony or Bruckner or something like that, where you need a lot of power, it's good that you warm up properly, but not too much, because you still need a lot of power to play all those notes. Usually Bruckner really long notes, Mahler a bit more difficult, a bit higher, and so on. So it's good to warm up well so that you feel okay, but I wouldn't overdo it, so just that you warm up, and that's enough. Like 5-10 minutes. Then you check a couple of spots in the symphony, and that's it. I mean, otherwise you have to sit a little bit before the concert, relax, and then showtime.
Thanks. And just for the end, for Andrej, what is the top audition tip you'd give it to younger you? So what kind of advices that you'd give it to young participants?
If I would be young again, or what?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I would practice couple of things a bit differently. But as I said before, I would always prepare myself good for audition. The problem with audition is at the end is only gold medal. There's no silver, there's no bronze. Unfortunately, yeah. So it's good that you prepare really well for all these auditions, that you know the program, because auditions are quite stressful. And at the end, as I talked about a little bit about this, the autopilot. So it's good that you're so well prepared that you can just play it in the middle of the night or something. So that would be like a one tip.
Thank you so much. And thank you for taking your time.
Right.
And I hope that others enjoyed. And so we continue with Petra and Matic.
Good. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
best. Bye-bye.
Ciao. So we continue. So there are a question I would like to ask you. So is it important for audition candidates to research the style of the orchestra for which they are auditioning? So now we have you and Petra and Matic from Vienna and Berlin. I think it's very good comparison. So what do you think, Petra?
Yeah, so I would say it depends on which orchestra you want to audition for, because there are like specific orchestras with specific tradition, and I would say like Wiener Philharmoniker is of course one of them. I would also say like Berlin, it has a little bit of a special power of like if I see it from the string player perspective. So Vienna, it's the thing that I think initially either wins you an audition or it doesn't. I mean, if everything else is a good package, because I think Berlin plays with a lot more power, the string players, than I would say we would like in Vienna. There's a great comparison. For example, we had, I think the lady is in Berlin now on tutti violin, and we had her in concertmaster audition in the final round, but the most comments were about she's playing too brutal, so to say. It was not brutal at all. It was just not our playing style. So yeah, I would say preparing for auditions or going for a very specific kind of orchestra, of course, take a look where members of the orchestras are giving master classes, apply for the master classes, or I don't know, go to our website or try to contact one of your friends who has a friend there, who has a member there. So try to find a contact in the orchestra, but again, don't overdo it, because I also know people who are then going to 10 different people, and we're still musicians and we're still individuals. I can tell you something completely different than my colleague will say. And too many opinions are also distraction, and it's confusing, and this never sounds good in the end. So yeah, if you go well prepared for one lesson, take the best tips you can. Don't change your technique because of it. Because especially if it's like a month before the audition, and then someone says, yeah, sorry, but your shoulder is there, you should play like this. This is never a good tip. Take the tips like what do they want to hear, what can you do musically. Of course, I mean, I'm talking about if the rhythm, intonation, and the technical stuff is really okay. So if someone says this is too slow, or this is too fast, or this is out of rhythm, these are also good tips. Yeah, but I'm speaking about the musical qualities or the interpretation kind of stuff. So yeah, you have to filter those information out very, very good. But I think it is a benefit, yeah, if you can get to play for someone.
Thanks. And Matic, what do you think?
Yeah, sure. It's Petra already said a lot of stuff. I think it's important to get informations, but at the end, it's still you who are representing. I think nowadays it's also quite easy to get in touch with the orchestras, like virtually. There are a lot of recordings. So for me, for example, I also played like with the recordings, some excerpts I just put like on the headphone just to get also a feeling. Maybe that's also with preparation, just to get the feeling, kind of playing it in the orchestra, because you didn't play. Maybe some of them you played already in the orchestra, some of them not. So maybe that's also experience, and you get. So each orchestra has a bit different style. Maybe you can, from this point of view, you can already get some information. And of course, I think it's good to go to some people, but as Petra said, maybe not too much, and just to get information. But at the end, it still has to be your idea. I think you have to be at the end happy with your idea and what you did, because if you go to the audition and then you just play like, oh, he said this, or she said this, and you try to do everything what they say and just to please them, or maybe to get a position, I think that won't be your music, and I think it won't come so good through as if it would be maybe your idea. Of course, it has to be in some kind of, not just to be like totally out of the box or whatever, but yeah, I think it needs a good filter about the information what they give you and your idea, so that they can say, okay, that's his idea, and that's it, we want him in the orchestra. Because it's also not everyone are suited for each orchestra. Maybe you will get out in one orchestra in the first round, and next week you will win audition in maybe better orchestra with the same playing. It's also what they want, and it has to happen on the day. You need a good day, and I think they also have to like you. That's kind of. But of course, I think it's great to have to get in touch with the orchestra, and yeah, then you see how it works also, or maybe also sometimes you get lucky or not, if there are auditions for the same position more times, so that they don't give the position for the first time, you get feedback, and maybe from this also you can get some information, because it's also, I think, a bit dangerous if you just come from nowhere and you go to all the people, oh, I come into the audition and I want to play for you and for you and for you, and it's also sometimes it can be also a bit too much. So it's always a decision. But on the other side, it's also great to show the interest. So it has to be a good balance. I think there is no really a rule how it works, I think.
I see. You should always be flexible to adapt to the situation, I guess.
Exactly, what also they like. Maybe some people like that you are coming to play, some maybe don't. I don't know.
Nice.
It's difficult to say.
Kind of getting the end of webinar. If you have any questions, just write on chat. I got some questions from a student who couldn't be here with us today. So one of them is, which qualities of a candidate convince the jury? What are they looking for in an audition as a whole, from coming in, playing, and leaving from the stage? Maybe, Matic, can you?
So maybe also a bit of the outside, not just the musical part.
Yeah, probably the image. What convince jury member?
I think it's good to act. I think normally it's difficult to say, but I when I was in Nuremberg, I attended some of the auditions from the other side also. So that's a great experience. Maybe you get a lot of views, what it works, what it doesn't. So I think it should be quite calm, everything. So you come to the stage, maybe you say hello, you tune, but not too much. I would say that's kind of what it disturbs me, because there are some people, they start to play some stuff there, and it's already, I think that can be already okay. It's just maybe you tune anyway before and you know the intonation, so it just maybe a check to get a fast feeling of the whole, but maybe just that you need, maybe not just to play some scales or something. And yeah, otherwise, and then leaving the stage, I think it's up to the performance if you laugh or not. But I would say this just, yeah, kind of normal. I would say hello and then concentrate, do your stuff. I think that's always good, not to get too much attention with your appearance out of the music. Maybe that's kind of what's that's of course for me what's maybe I observed. Maybe some other people like something else, but
I see. Yeah. And how about you, Petra?
Yeah, it's quite a complex question actually, because the one is the physical appearance and the second one is the presence on the stage. So maybe like Matic said, not distracting too much with what you're wearing. Also remember, it's an audition, it's not a fashion show. It's elegant but classy. Nothing. It's for me, and I mean, I am kind of coming out of a very traditional orchestra, but I would say no short sleeves or short skirts. It's something, and also something to feel comfortable playing with. Something that's airy, that doesn't disturb you, that doesn't, not like a blouse, which doesn't allow you to have a free movement of the arms. And then nothing with the opened back or nothing with the, yeah. So just respectful and elegant. Then the second thing is stage presence. Remember that you are entering the professional life now. So you have to present yourself as someone who has who can initiate the music and who has a clear idea of what music is about. So orchestras don't really, or we don't really need to hear how a perfect student would play it. You need to show more, you need to show you have a personality, you need to show also that if you're going to sit on the last stand of the second violins, that you're going to play there with an energy, and that you have also on the last stand of the second violins, you have a feeling of where the phrase is going, that you are going to give this phrase also in any position in the orchestra. So that's very valuable. And maybe one other thing, if you're playing behind the screen, take care of the shoes. For example, ladies, don't wear high heels, because the point of the screen is to disguise your sex and your body, your physical appearance, so that everyone gets an equal chance. Also, no talking behind the screen. We already heard people saying, oh, sorry, I have to get my score or something. No talking. If you need to talk, you have to say to the accompanist, there's a pianist there, you can whisper something to him and then he's going to talk further. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of very stupid details, and it just makes the whole stressy situation a little bit more stressy. But if you're ready and prepared for it, then nothing can really, just focus on what's really important, and that's it. Sorry, I have a dog.
Thank you, Petra. So I think we are time to finish this webinar. Thank you, Petra and Matic, and of course, Andrej, when you need to go. It was really, really useful, and I think participants learn a lot from your conversations. Thank you so much. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we are going to have another webinar tomorrow talking about audition for conductor. So if you're interested to it, please register it online, and it will be at 2 o'clock in Paris time. We are going to have Maestro Marco Retonia. He's a Slovenian conductor. So it will be really great opportunity to hear about conductor auditioning. Thank you so much for being with us today, and I hope you have a nice day